welcome to another episode of Roll or Die. Today we have for you another Brazilian with a fantastic Portuguese accent. We love to have them on. We have the one and only Ivan Voronoff.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sounds very Russian, man. Sounds very Russian. So how do we actually pronounce your name? What's the best way to pronounce your name?
Well, you can do like the Brazilian way and call me Ivan, or you can call me Ivan. I don't really care. But
I like Ivan, man. I like Ivan.
Voronoff. Yeah.
Voronoff. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Does it have a Russian kind of ancestry to Voronoff, or is that like?
Well, so my dad is Russian. So yeah. So my dad is Russian, but I'm 100% a Brazilian product.
Cool, brother. Cool.
Very good.
You've shown up no gi today, but Ivan and I, we're in the gi. Okay, so
that's right. I don't know how many of our listeners watch the show as well, but I think, Ivan, you are the first guest we've had on in the gi. So thank you very much for and Anton, he had to join with the gi as well, just so he didn't feel left out, I think.
That's right. So, brother, you've just finished a private class. Like literally, you've stepped off the mats from a private session. You've come to see us, man. And I really appreciate that. And I was thinking about that, got me thinking about private sessions. Like, who do you do mostly privates with? Like, what kind of belt range do you do private sessions with?
I tend to do more private sessions with like literally beginners, like newbies, like that I want to give a go in jiu-jitsu, but or they are a little bit afraid to be in a group class. Or schedule-wise don't work for them to be in a group class. So
yeah,
and other people, they have the preference the same way that you have people that go to the gym and work out by themselves. They have people that work out with a personal trainer. So it goes in another same pretty much same way.
Yeah.
So
and do you find people just do a couple of sessions with you, then they get the confidence and then they transition to the classes, or do they stick with you over and over? How does it work?
On my experience, like I'll say that 90% that are people that came to the private class, they stay on private class. Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember.
So just once a week ongoing or something like that. How often are people doing privates on average?
Well, it depends on your pocket. Like
that's it. I'm thinking that's getting expensive. Yeah.
I would say that the student that I had that came out right now here, he does this week he did 4 classes.
Wow.
But
for privates.
4 private sets.
Wow.
But
jeez. I didn't know people in jiu-jitsu had so much money. Sorry, I thought that most of us had no money. Sorry. Maybe just the ones I know. Sorry, go on.
Well, kind of, you need to remember, like, that's a kind of interesting point, but you need to think about that. If we do a little bit of research in the history, like the original Grace Academy didn't start with group class. I started with like private class, and it was only 30 minutes. And even when I was still at my HQ in Rio, they still have like a large amount of private class. So they have like they had a little mats on the side that was only for private class. And I remember that Hulk and Hoyle used to be there all the time. They used to be there like 90% of the time doing private class, not group class. So it has a lot of potential doing private class, actually.
Yeah.
I do enjoy it. It's a good way as well. It's a good way to sharp yourself as a teacher as well, to have one-on-one. You can go more, you have more time to go through the technique, to explain more conceptions. But sometimes it's a little bit hard in a group class, especially when a group class is really busy.
Yeah.
So I think that's why some people do stick to the private. They know that they can go to the group, but they get spoiled. They get too spoiled.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
I remember when I was getting privates from Tiago back in the day. I was a white belt, and maybe the early parts of my blue belt. That's when I really seemed to focus on privates. But I remember, like, literally just being intimidated by the fact that he was a black belt and I was asking the dumbest questions on earth, or I wasn't improved. Like, I feel like if I was to get privates, like from you now, Ivan, or a Tiago or someone like that, you know, I would get a lot out of the private because I'd be able to make the proper adjustments. But I feel like I was in my own way when I was getting those privates. So it was this kind of dichotomy for me. Like I wish I knew what I knew now when I got the privates from Tiago, if that makes sense. But, you know, I also get that they were very valuable still, you know, but I just knew so little. And it feels like, yeah, I just needed to do more jiu-jitsu for myself in the beginning, and I'd get more value from privates now. Do you have purple belts or anyone like that who you do privates with?
Not really, like not really, to be 100% honest. Like those guys, sometimes I do like when they ask me, like, I want to do a private too, and I was like, what do you want to know? They have some questions, and I do prefer to answer them in like just during the class, or on a Saturday. On a Saturday we tend to do a little bit of lab on Saturday. So Saturday is the day that I try to teach not that I don't teach, but I try to let people develop their own style, their own game. So you can pick a technique that you've been watching and enjoying and try to do it, and I can come in and help you out, and I'll do some research, and I can send you some videos and help the student on that path. It's just my preference, like you know, to not lock myself in doing a lot of private class as well. I like to have my time to myself. So I do a couple of private class, but I don't want to keep doing private class all the time.
I understood.
That's the truth.
Yeah. And Ivan, you're the head coach at Melbourne Jiu-Jitsu Academy, but I know you, and I think Anton knows you from Absolute MMA. You've come and trained with us there. I'm not sure if you remember, but actually, after I got my black belt and I went the next day to class, you were the first person that I rolled with when I first got my black belt. So, and I guess it's a bit of an open-ended question, but what do you think it means to be a black belt? Like, what do you think that is?
What it means to be a black belt?
Yeah.
That's a hard one.
It is. We have not asked that question either.
Hard questions, brother. Before. Right at you.
You're wearing the gi, so you know it brings the hard questions.
Well, I think to be a black belt is like it's not only having the good technique, like it's to be, I would say, like a better part of society. Like, you know, like you use your belt to empower other people, to help other people. Like I think to be a black belt out of these days is like is definitely like do better society wise. I think like help the next person, to me, like, you know, help people in aid, be a better husband, a better father, a better friend, a better partner. I think that are the tools to be a black belt. I don't think that we can go many skills, like skill wise, but I think in the end, like I think to be a black belt is to definitely be a better human being. That's what we try to achieve as I becomes better in jiu-jitsu, because eventually we're all gonna get old, we're all gonna get a couple of injuries, we're not gonna be the champions, but we always can be better for our society. So out of those days, I think like for me, being a black belt is to make sure that I do empower the kids that are coming here along me, is empower the girls, is empower the guys that are in need, especially out of these days when you see so much men going through breakdowns and, you know, like depression. I think that's my path to be a black belt, is to help those people to find their light in jiu-jitsu and find themselves. So
that's
yeah, definitely what win competitions is cool as well. I don't take that away. I think that's pretty cool to be a badass in jiu-jitsu.
Go for it.
I think that's like it's pretty phenomenal and pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But in the end of the day, I did remember on my journey as a white belt to a black belt, those guys that empowered me more was the guys that they didn't have the titles, but they had a business. They like lawyers and dentists and like businessmen and they like fathers, like they were the ones that empowered me and taught me like the path to be a black belt. It wasn't only win championships, but was to be a better person to our society, to be someone that you can look forward and you can come to ask for advice, for friend. So for me, out of these days, once again, it's all about the kids. It's all about to empower the kids. And I love to see when the kids come in here to train, start training for me, and they're shy and they're not very confident. In another 2-3 months, they are talking, they're improving at school, they're making new friends. For me, that's more grateful than any medal or any other stuff.
Oh man!
So I think that's what it means to be a black belt. Meant to do a positive impact.
You're a beautiful human being, man. That's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. I actually, though, I can't help but think like that's you, and it's almost all black belts I know. I'm wondering if you think some people make it through to black belt and they still get to be a jerk, though. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that there are or there aren't. You may know some or not, but does being a black belt filter out all the jerks, or do some people get to, you know, be a black belt and offer evil?
I don't say evil, but I think in the same way that you have bad doctors and bad accountings, and you might have bad black belts.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing that we can do about that. Like, I think like it's a shame that those persons didn't got touched the way that I did. God didn't have like the right person to guide them, but I will not diminish them or disrespect them because I might not agree with the views. That's right. my philosophy of those days. I try to not judge and attack no one because we might not agree at a point. I try to analyze and respect that. I think I mature a little bit on that. Before, I think I was a very defensive type of person, try to push my views through. Out of these days, I'm like, okay, fine. I might not agree, but I respect you, still respect you. So I think not as many, but I think still have some, we can say, bad black belts. But I hope so not.
You've got less and less bad black belts. That's a good thing, man. I love your view too. I think it's great, not making people wrong. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, and also something you said a bit earlier on about like empowering others, like empowering women. And I know whenever you're on the mats, you're always someone that I'll always try and get a roll in with because I do feel that very much with you. And also, I guess we're a similar size. So I always pretty much ask this for most of our guests that are on the smaller side. How is that for you? I mean, obviously now as a black belt, you've got the technique, but earlier on, especially for any of our listeners out there who are on the smaller side, have you got any tips how to get by?
Yeah, I do. Look, for me, it has the two sides of the coin. The number one side was like when I was already like a blue belt, I was like a rough and tough blue belt. So I used to train every day with this guy. His name is Christian Sestaro. He lives in Russia. He's a massive guy. He's probably like 210, like 2 meters and 10, like 150 kilos. Like, and these days he's more lighter, but I used to rope him every day. And Holker never let me skip to the train. Like I try to hide sometimes, and he's like, "Oh, where are you? You in Gigante?" That's his name, like giant. And I used to rope him every time. So I really like to rope for bigger people. It actually helped me to sharpen my technique on that way because I'm such a smaller person that I need to use technique and not strength. In the other hand, like I think I got that from Professor Pedro that put that in very deep on my mind and say, I mean, if you want to sharpen your skill, your finesse in your hands, you need to train a lot of the kids and the girls because then they don't have the strength. So I just sharpen my technique on that way. And like, I just love to roll with people bigger than me. I always find as a challenge. If they smash me that day, I'll look for where I could improve or where I could survive better. But I think for the smaller guys, look to the technique, look to sharp your technique, look to sharp your defense, have good defense, like have a strong castle, and like, and you have solid frames, know how to escape your hips and move, and like you'll be fine. You'll be fine, and you're gonna see how much fun it is to roll for bigger people. Actually, I rolled for a guy. I had a private class for another guy. He was 120 kilos,
Yeah.
and like I was quite fun. He was trying to squash me, and I was pretty much defending and managed to sweep him a couple of times in the butterfly. But in the end, I was just trying to literally just use my skills and like my technique against him and see how far I could survive.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I really like that, what you said about like using the kids and using the girls, because I think that I agree, like females can be such an asset for a club. Often you'll find that the clubs with the bigger women's teams tend to have higher technique, more technical people for sure. So sometimes, especially girls, I know they feel when they're beginners, they feel a bit shy or embarrassed to partner. Oh, sorry, you have to partner with me. But I say no. I think it's actually a benefit to the guys to partner with females.
Oh, I totally agree with you. I say that to my boys here all the time. I say, like, guys, you wanna sharp your skills, get one of the girls here that have 50 kilos.
Yeah.
Train for them. But forget that your strength. I do love to train with the kids. I have a little Veneta here. She's 10 years old. And she's a gun because she does genetics, so she's very flexible, very acrobatic. I think like I'll say that is one of my favorite trains.
Awesome, man. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Because you go to beating ball, she reverses you in the beating ball, and you go to the back take and she jumps over you and you grab her leg and you wrestle up and she's spinning you like. But I do that in like in a very fun way, and I really enjoy it because I feel that we're not actually competing, we're having fun.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. And I'll say to you, a lot of times I do try to do techniques on her, and I go from her to the other girls and to the guys, and I start to go apply to the heavier guys. And that's when I say, like, okay, my techniques get this, I'll start to dominate this technique here instead of to apply straight away with someone that I can match strength for me. I try slowly with someone that I don't like to use the word weaker, but I'll say someone that doesn't have so much strength, so we can be more in a technical level. Because once you start to roll sometimes and go full force, it's hard to be as technical, I would say.
Yeah.
Man, that is awesome. I love it. And I think kids have that kind of creative expression as well. They'll try stuff. A lot of adults won't try. And that's great. You get different looks, different angles, you know. I'm keen to know about your whole, like the beginning of jiu-jitsu for you, like how you discovered it, and then like who the influential coaches in your life were, you know, that sort of, I'd love to know the story of jiu-jitsu for you.
Look, I discovered jiu-jitsu not in the first UFC. I actually watched the first UFC in a tape, and I thought that it was like, nah, that's not for me. I think because like Van Damme and Chuck Norris was the guys at the time.
Yeah.
So kind of like you know, I say to people that are like, I'll watch that movie Delta Force 10,000 times, and like, and I can still watch it because I love when he does the triangle and the arm bar.
Yes.
So I think I started become hooked up in jiu-jitsu when Royce for Kimo Leopoldo. And like I remember one of my mates bringing the tape at home and showing to us again, and was very bloody. And I was like, all right, cool, that's nice. And he's like, I'm gonna start to train. And he started. So I didn't start at the academy. Actually, I started with training with him at his living room. So we used to train out of the carpet.
Yeah.
Me and his brothers, like so I burned my knees a lot of times, and I had to bruise the elbows and things like that.
Yeah.
And that's when I started to train with my professor, like Professor Breno Angelo. I knew him because from judo as well. So he took me under his wing, and like I would say that at that time my big influence was him, because I didn't have like internet. So my big influence was him. And after when I moved to Rio, that I was in a HQ, like I had the experience to be a little bit for Hoyle, not as much, but I saw Hoyle teaching and I learned for him a fair bit as well. Spent a large amount of time learning from Hoka, and at that stage, Muay Thai had the biggest master scene. So we had a lot of people coming down from Manaus. So I learned from Paulo Brandão, that's like as a black belt on the Hoyle as well. Renato Barreto, there's a black belt on the Rickson.
Wow.
I saw Saulo Xande on the mats. I saw Mackenzie on the mats, Bia Mesquita.
Jeez.
So yeah, I used to go to the mats and all those guys. Muay Thai used to quite a little bit was sort of more or less at the same time that the Ribeiro Association came up. So I saw Leticia Ribeiro like on the mats, like Fabrício Morango, like so many names, like so many good people.
Wow.
So I think, so my Professor Breno Anjo was a big inspiration for me. Professor Pedro Sal was definitely down the track when I was in Australia. But a guy that is not well known, so some people that I heard this podcast that I know him will know want to talk, is Breno Sivak. So Breno Sivak, if you will go and look at that Quest Fight or Discovery Channel show about Jiu-Jitsu, he's on that show. If you go Fight Quest, Discovery Channel, yeah, Jiu-Jitsu.
Fight Quest, DJJ.
Yeah, you're gonna see, if you watch the show, you're gonna see that Rickson bring 2 black belts, and he say to the guy, that's how my 2 best black belts, Renato Barreto and Breno Sivak. So Breno was a guy that for me was like a massive what a division. He was a guy that is keep me on jiu-jitsu because I didn't want to. I want to quit in one stage. I wasn't having much more fun. I was already a purple belt. I was having a hard time because I used to wanted to train with black belts. So I was struggling, and I was struggling at my personal life as well.
Right.
So Breno used to be a guy that used to saw me in the side of the mats and used to come and chat with me. And that guy, whatever he says to you, if you believe, it works. And I just believe, and I believe what he said to me. Believe in jiu-jitsu, believe in yourself, and you'll find a solution. And yeah, I never look back. So I'm very grateful for Breno. Like he's one of my very good mentors and good friend. I'm very keen to see him end of the day in Brazil. Like he's a great guy.
Wow.
He's a great guy. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
And definitely, once again, Professor Pedro Sal once again had a massive influence on the technical aspect of my game as well. He was a guy that actually he criticized me, and after that I did improve a lot.
Wow.
Yeah.
These mentors.
I got a belt for the coral belt. So.
Wow, man.
And Ivan, what brought you to Australia? How did you get here?
How I got here? Well, I was just life. I was a little bit. I was working, doing uni in Brazil and living living life, but I wasn't very happy. And I would say I had that problem, that man's head. I was in my 26 and I was drinking too much, partying too much. I was just a little bit lost in life. Didn't know what I wanted to do. I wasn't very happy with my uni. I was happy at work, but I wasn't super happy at uni. And I just split up at the time. So I had 2 mates that had come back from Australia, and they told me man, you need to go to Australia. And I was like, and they're like, yeah, go to Australia. And yeah, I got an opportunity to come over. Actually, I don't remember, but can you probably remember him? Rodrigo Antunes.
No.
That was that I opened the first Grace Melbourne.
When was that? How long ago? Maybe I do.
That was 2012. He
Oh,
opened
okay.
a cube site where I think where Dion is at these days at
Oh, yeah.
energy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay. Yep, yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I came to help him out.
Wow.
He
Ah,
called me to, yeah, he called me
And you
to
were a
come over
purple
to
belt.
help.
You were a purple belt then.
No, I was a brown belt at the time.
Got it. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
was a brown belt at the time. Things didn't work out. So I knew Murat from Nexus in
Yeah.
Brazil. Yeah, Murat and myself were good friends back in Brazil. And I just called him one day from the blue and I said, like, man, I'm here in Melbourne and things are not working out here and I'm thinking to move. And he's like, so come to live with me.
Mm.
So I went to live at the academy. So I think I lived at Nexus for 2 years. Yeah.
We did
Ah.
that Murat Besnak, like Murat, the black belt Murat. Is that
No, no, different Murat.
Different Murat.
different
Different
Murat?
Murat.
Okay, cool.
Murat Karadeneski
Oh yeah,
from
yeah, I know who you're talking about.
From
Wow,
Nexus.
awesome, man. Yeah, yeah, awesome,
Nexus,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
yeah, I went to live with him. I went to live with the academy. He opened the doors for me. And yeah, he was another person that I can never forget it because he made me to stay here in Australia. I was going back to Brazil and he's like, no, you need to stay. Help me with
Wow.
the kids' class.
Oh, wow,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
It sounds like you kept trying to kind of run away from yourself, but eventually, like some people had you kind of like face up to whatever you needed to face up to, find your center, and look at you now, man. You're a rock star. So I mean, I'm not allowed to say rock
Rockstar,
star.
Anton, not allowed to say rockstar. You're a
Kim's banned me
powerhouse.
from saying rock star.
Everybody's a
You're
rock star with Anton Ivan. He just watered it down. But I
It's
think we
okay.
can say you are. You really you deserve to be. You are a rock star.
Yeah.
I think just because look, I never look myself doing what I was doing, but I think I had other people that I did believe more than I believe, and at the moment that I start to believe as well, everything changed.
Wow. People
So-
saw you as the giant, but you didn't see you as the giant yet. That's so cool.
100%, 100%,
Wow.
100%. It was
Yeah.
like it was exactly that. Like was exactly that.
Yeah.
So-
So you've built a really good life here in Australia now, and you've recently had a son. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How's that for you? How's fatherhood changed you?
I'm more mellow now. I'm more emotional now. I kind of, oh man, I'm a little bit more emotional at these days. I didn't change much because I wasn't going out anymore, and I'm going to say that I don't like to have like one beer here and there, but I'm not a big drinker, so I wasn't partying, going out. So for me, I didn't really change. Just still doing my 5 a.m. waking up, and so but actually for me, the born of my son was a blast. Like I thought like that. My biggest struggle here in Australia was the fact that we didn't have family here, so it was just me and my partner. Now that we have the little man, it makes everything so much easier. It makes
Yeah.
life like I'm going to say it makes life easier because it's not easy to have a kid, but it makes me like settle even more in Australia. So
Yeah.
I'll say to you that I'll don't see myself never going back to Brazil
Mm.
because I have my son here, I have my partner here, I
Yeah.
have my academy here, so I have my students that becoming to be my friends and like part of my family. So I have you guys as well that I cannot deny that Thiago always opened the doors that are absolute for me to come into train. The
Yeah.
same way that Marcelino did it for me when I didn't have a place to train before. Like Murat did at Nexus, a few did at Leverage. So I end up like become be part of like the Australian community and like just learn how to love this country and like to be So yeah, the little
That's
man
beautiful.
made me more humble. I say that a little bit, humble me a lot, makes me way more patient. I'm way more patient out of those days. Like,
awesome. Yeah.
So great. So great.
That's so good.
I was thinking,
I like what you said as well about the community too. Sorry, Anton. Like that's sort of what we're trying to do here with this podcast, I guess, just show the community, and that story you said, 100% does.
So
I think like on this point of the community, like coming from Brazil, where you at the time that I was training, you would not be allowed to train at your mate's academy. Nah, that didn't happen there. It was kind of seen as a bad thing, and coming over here and seeing that a change in my view completely, like and I made a ton of friends through jiu-jitsu, because I remember at the time you still train at a Dion at that time at a Buckins when he was at in the back of the
factory,
in the back of the freeway, in Ringwood. Right? Look at
that's right. Yeah,
that was 2012, 2013.
That's right. Yeah, it was a blue belt. Yeah.
Yeah. So you see how far everyone came, and everyone's still in touch. So I think so. At the moment that I approached Dion, I asked if I could come there on a Sunday to train. He was like, "Oh man, 100%. Come on, B. Come on." And like, and I met so many people from there that I still remember. So I'm glad that things here was more, I would say, ahead than in Brazil. It wasn't segregated like in Brazil. In Brazil, it was like your team is your family, and that's it. You don't get to mix it up with other people. I think you guys here over here for what I experienced was more up front on that. Like it's like people crush train, what it was really good, and build much more like a community sense.
Yeah, for sure.
One of the things I'm really proud about with this podcast now, you're around episode 150, man. Like we're cranking through the amazing people in this community, but my latest fun is introducing white belts to this podcast so they can see the depth and the breadth of the amazing people in this community. Like it's just amazing. Like when I look back and just think one amazing person after another, you're another one in a long line of really amazing people, man. And it's just so awesome. Like you can't find a better community than this, in my opinion. You know, it's an amazing community.
Sure.
Yeah.
It should. The jiu-jitsu community, like it tends to be, is rare when you find someone like you guys say that are not cool in the jiu-jitsu community. The jiu-jitsu community, everyone tends to be very laid back and very cool and very humble and down to earth. So I'm glad that I stick in this path as well to be part of this amazing community, especially in Australia.
Yeah. So. Any final words? Any parting thoughts? We're nearly out of time. Anything last for our listeners?
Oh, not really. I'm just glad that you guys invite me to be on the podcast. I heard a couple of the podcasts. I heard the one with Robbie, with like Marcelino. You guys did a ton, and I heard a bunch of them. I found them pretty good, pretty short. Yeah. So I'm very glad to be part of the of the podcast. Thank you very much. I appreciate the call. And I just think about jiu-jitsu, I just want to think about more jiu-jitsu and spread more the word and the benefits of this amazing art.
Right there with you, brother. Right there with you. And you also mentioned earlier on Fight Quest Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So I think this is it. I'm just sharing my screen so that the viewers can go watch it. It's like a 42-minute episode of something. I'm going to watch it later, but just skimming through, it's got some amazing...
You see scroll. Yeah, you see, now if you go back, just a little bit more. So see, that's Renato. This guy, now the other guy in at the front, he's Renato. So yeah, that's Breno.
Oh, I see.
That's Breno. Yeah. So yeah, that's Breno.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Awesome, man. This is some homework for me, man. I really just thank you so much for sharing so honestly and authentically with us. I'm super inspired, man. It's good to get to know you better, bro.
Thank you very much, Thank you very much, King. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, you're a busy man, and we'll have this out. I think maybe first week of November. So if you could share it on your network with your teams, and that would be fantastic.
Yeah, definitely will. Don't worry, I'm gonna share on my social media. I'll share at the academy. Actually, my partner was telling me off to make sure that I would drink a lot of water.
Thanks, Ivan. You're
very good.
That's
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
See you soon.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Thank you. Happy